Yep. So let's switch. Alrighty, so let's check the mic. Yeah, it's working. Alrighty. All right, Shalom. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and the Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kwadash, and double honor to the apostles of the great no stone that have taught us this truth, and to include the elder bishops on down as well, and overall to you brothers out there, Yahweh Bashmi Shai, Brakatham. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started with a precept, and I want to begin by reading this concerning the topic of discussion. What's being had today. Well, since I would say yesterday, it's been declared that the king has now announced, and I'm going to get into this news later on, but I'm going to get to what I'm going to get to. I'm going to land my plane as to why I'm beginning with this type of lesson. So yeah, it's been announced that the so-called king has declared that, eventually in due time, we are going to be under the digital ID setting, and what that is that to us, as it should mean, it should just mean one thing and one thing only. It means to an end, because this is the very well thing that we keep talking about over and over and over again. And why do we talk about it over and over again? Reason number one, to give warning from the Lord, right? And so our people repent and don't take that thing, because if you take that implantable device, then pretty much that's your ass over, that's your ass and over. You might as well just give it on up, which eventually you will. You're going to give it the spirit once the nukes hit you, because that's what's going to be pretty much sent towards you, and you ain't going to be able to escape it. So basically, once Esau brings that mandatory chipping, so to speak, which will eventually come to pass, again, that's just going to be a means to an end of this world, and simply the beginning of the next one, which is going to come forth, and that's our kingdom. All right. So what I want to do is I want to read this over here, and we're going to get right into it. And Lord willing, through the Holy Spirit, this will be an edifying lesson. So I want to begin by reading Sirach chapter 10 and verse 14. And as this reads, the Lord have cast down the thrones of proud princes and set up the meek in their stead. And it's been done. When you read the kingdoms, which Daniel spoke about, I always bring this topic of Daniel, how he specified on the kingdoms which would come thereafter, one after the other, due to the rudiments which was made, which was how can I put it, man? The rudiments which was of that statue. There you go. Right. So he specified on all of that and what it meant, and what it basically meant is that, yes, this kingdom is going to come after the other kingdom, and they're all going to have their due time to rule. Right. And usually before they come down, what happens is that these nations become excessively proud. When they reach to the apex of their society, they become proud. And that's the minute they fall down. Right. So when Esau declares that the mark of the that's going to be towards his apex. He would have reached his apex point, and then now all of a sudden he's going to go down. All right. And it's going to be suddenly, because suddenly, guess who's going to come back? Yahweh Shah is going to come back. All right. You're going to have the day of the Lord, which is going to catch the people suddenly, unawares, as a thief in the night, as that's written. And then at the same time, suddenly you're going to have Yahweh Shai reappear. All right. And when he appears on this earth, he's coming back as an angelic power. He ain't coming back to meet anybody as a man like he did before. He's coming to meet us as an angelic force. And for those that are against righteousness, unto condemnation, and unto those that are for righteousness, unto salvation. All right? So let me read this again. The Lord hath cast down the thrones of proud princes and set up the meek in their stead. And that's what he's going to do with us. He's going to set up the meek. Now, doesn't it read that the meek shall inherit the earth? Yes, it does. And who are the meek which will inherit the earth? Us, the nation of Israel, which makes up the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. You know, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. And among those that are awakened to this truth. All right. So that's who's going to overcome this system. And then right along with Yahweh Shai, because that's who we're waiting for to come, Yahweh Shai, what is he going to do? He's going to come again with this undying power. And with that undying power, what is he going to do? He's going to take over this power that he set up. That's what he's going to do. Okay. So, you know, with that being said, the dog's mad, right? Let's continue to read on. It says, the Lord hath plucked up the roots of the proud nations and planted the lowly in their place. Absolutely. He planted the lowly in their place. And when you check it, we are the lowly right now. Again, going back to that word meek. See, the word lowly and the meek can go together. So we're going to be planted in our place through what? A miraculous form of salvation. You know, we're not going to get there by signing pieces of paper like the Balfour Declaration Act. And I'm not going to get too in depth into that because I don't want to, you know, I don't want to, you know, get my channel, you know, messed up to the point where we can't use it. So I'm going to tread carefully right about now, like the scripture says. What is it? Be as wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Right? So as this reads, once again, the Lord hath plucked up the roots of the proud nations. So when you pluck up anything from the root, when you pluck up a plant from the root, that's the whole plant. There's no other plant that can grow from that part of the ground whence it came, because you pulled the whole thing up. So when Yahweh Shai comes back, he's going to pull this place up by the root. All right. Now, before Yahweh Shai comes back, they're going to do this justice unto themselves. They're going to destroy their own kingdom as well as what we see happening right now. And then Yahweh Shai, he's just going to come and just totally obliterate this place and just finish it all off. Right. So this place ain't going to come back. Never again. Once this place is destroyed, by way of thermonuclear destruction, as well as what we're already into right now. We're already in the Third World War right now since 1994 and onwards. We're at the precipice of no return, where the missiles are going to begin to be shot forth, and them nations, they're going to get it in. America's going to get it in with everybody around, and to include their allies as well. Their allies are going to turn up against America, and America's going to be no more. And this whole Western civilization, or this empire, this revival version of Rome, will be no more. All right. So again, our Messiah, he was the Son of Man, the miracles that he wrought, and even on towards the dying of the cross, so that and to bring us fasting, bring us out of to a world of eternity, a world of immortality, which the root of immortality is righteousness. All right. And under this period of grace, amalgamated with the amalgamated with the what we're doing is we're proving ourselves that we're after Yahweh Shai, right? Let me say correctly, that we're coming after him by what? Keeping the things that he kept, keeping the laws and the statutes thereof. All right. So now, verse 16, and the Lord overthrew countries of the heathen and destroy them to the foundations of the earth. So now we understand what it means by how he plucked up the root of the nations, right? Let's continue on. And he took some of them away and destroyed them and have made their memorial to cease from the earth. Case in point, Egypt. Egypt, now people speak about Egypt and what have you, right? But it's so not a memorial even to the people that were rulers of Egypt, the dark, them tall, lanky, dark, you know, super dark, got the kind of skin that's like, you could say like, they got that matte, dark look to them. They used to rule Egypt. And those people are smack dab in Sudan right now. And primarily, to be more specific, South Sudan. All right? Those were the same people that ruled in Egypt, that were doing well in Egypt. But guess what? The Lord smacked their asses out of power. Just so that we can be delivered from their hands. And they don't even remember the greatness of their empire. All right? So that's just, one case. That he destroyed them to the point where their memory of the things that they have done has ceased. And the same thing will be had in this society as well, as that's written. All right? The same thing will be had with the people of the nation of Edom. Okay? And this is what we're coming up to. So let me read this again. He took some of them away and destroyed them and have made their memorial to cease from the earth. And just bear with me, brothers and sisters. I ain't really got hardly any sleep, man. So I'm going to have to tread very carefully, even with myself too, man. So anyway, this is Daniel 7. And we're going to get to the point. As a matter of fact, I'll read the first verse. Daniel 7:1. And in the first year of Belshazzar, the king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream, and the visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea. Right? And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. And the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. So this beast, which was like a lion, which had eagle's wings, was referring to the, as Esau would call, the Neo-Assyrian Empire. Okay? Which they ruled for a particular time. And then these same Assyrians, became Babylonians. As it reads next. I beheld until the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. And when you go in, I think it's in the British Museum, but it's rare to find, right? Like what you see is, you'll see a statue, which is equivalent to what I just read. You had like the statue, which the Assyrians made, and it was as if, like Daniel explained, what is it? A lion with wings on it. All right. And also, just to continue on now, I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it, and that man was Nebuchadnezzar. This was the man that ended up bugging out eventually when he made a proud remark before the prophet Daniel, if I'm correct. And what happened? The Lord bugged him out and made him believe that he was a beast, and did many other things to him, which you can further read into the book of Daniel's. What is it? Is it Daniel? Yeah, Daniel's 4. There you go, Daniel's 4. So you can read that, and it's in the later of that chapter, the later verses of that chapter. Now, let's continue on. So Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven strove upon the great sea. Didn't I read that before? Yes, I sure did. So now let's read verse 5. And behold, another beast, and a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise and devour much flesh. So this was referring to the Medo-Persian Empire. So the bear that was raised up on one side was referring to the Medes. Okay, that's why Russia adopted the bear, which is spiritual, because when you read the book of Jeremiah, right? Jeremiah, if I'm correct, he references the Medes, all right, which will be sent against Babylon. So that would be the Russians today. Now, they're not the actual Medes, because the actual Medes were of dark skin what is it? Dark-skinned, they were dark-skinned origin, the people, from the descendants of Japheth. All right, and those people reside in the South Pacific Ocean today. They used to dwell in the interiors of Europe, millenniums ago. All right, so the term "me" goes back to the descendants of one of the descendants of Japheth. All right, but they're not the official Medes. The Russians currently today, they're not the official Medes. They're just considered the Medes because they possess a land of the Medes right now. Okay. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this, right? I might as well just go and get it just to bring some edification on home. Yeah, so let's type in the word Mede, right? Yeah, we got what? Isaiah 13 and 17. Yeah. And then I mentioned the one, right? I mentioned the one in Jeremiah 51 and verse 28. Right, so what I could do is, yeah, let me read this. Jeremiah 51 and, yeah, verse 58. Prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes and the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all of the lands of his dominion. So these are going to be the people in these last days, which will be sent against, when you read verse 25, right, that destroying mountain. And the destroying mountain was the mountain of Edom, which is known as Babylon the Great right now. And how were they, that destroying mountain, as Jeremiah said and envisioned? Because as they would take on board is the blessing of Esau, because they are the Edomites in the last days, ruling with the sword. And as they're ruling with the sword, they've been bullying the world for all these years. And now the world is beginning to be consciously aware of how wicked and evil they really are. The power structure of Babylon is. All right. So right about now, it's like case in point, right? I think it was maybe last week ago. It could have been on a Sunday. After I got done doing this, man, there was some some young lads that came home from school, and they came up around me, man, and I think, if I'm correct, they came home from school, and I was talking with them here and there, and they wanted to hear my side if I sided with Trump, right? So I said, nah, I don't really side with Trump. So basically, man, them kids, they just started saying, hey, to me, because everybody has a bone to pick with Esau. Everybody has a bone to pick with Babylon, to be more specific. Salaki about that. Okay, so that's the spirit in the air. Everybody don't like America now. Even England is beginning not to like America. Once upon a time they were together. They were a unit. That's why they were known as the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and all of that stuff. Now, even among these politicians to include, there's this division that's happening. So before society ends, what ends up happening is that the people in that society divides among themselves, and then it's brought to its end. Like the book of Mark 3 and 23 explains, when Yahweh Shai said, if Satan cast out Satan, how can matter of fact, let me go and read it. Let me go and pull that out real quick, right? Yeah, Mark 3 and 23. As this reads over here, and he called them unto him, right? And said unto them in a parable, how can Satan cast out Satan? And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but have an end. So what he was telling the Pharisees and the Sadducees and them, I think primarily the Pharisees here, is that, look, how you gonna call me Satan and I call you Satan? Like, come on, like if we're both Satan, then we should be in league together. So he was just being wordy, because the Lord, that's how the Lord was 2,000 years ago. He was he was a wordy one, man. That's a word I'm going to use from now on, right? But he was sharp with his words against those that came up against him, that try to be slick against him, right? So yeah, this applies to Esau. Esau is divided against themselves. So when you got that situation, you don't have a kingdom anymore. You know, and I like to always say, when you look at Esau's kingdom overall, like what made them a powerhouse, not to be reckoned with, is when you had the, what is it? The Western hegemony. When that was, when that was going strong and everything, nobody could really fuck with them. Now all of a sudden things are taking this different turn, even with the whole Iranian situation that started, man. France didn't really come to the aid of America and help them in that endeavor. England wasn't really going to get involved in it, right? So much so that Trump got mad at Karl Starmer and, disrespected him because he's an emotional type of individual, man. You know what I mean? He got hurt. His ego got hurt because they didn't go along with what he told them and shit. So that was that, right? But the point is, like I said, it ain't the same no more, man. Things are different. Things are different for this world. So even on that regard, that's how you know we're in the end of this thing. Because there's no togetherness with the European Union and as well as America, or together known as NATO, right? Get rid of this and let's go back to the point that I had. Yeah, so let me go back to the book of Daniels and let's read verse 5 again. And behold, another beast in the second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth of it. And the 3 ribs that it had in the mouth of between the teeth of it was these 3 places they conquered, the Medo-Persian Empire, or the Persian and the Medes, have you will. You could say it that way because the Persians, they were the dominant side of that empire versus the Medes, So, the 3 places that it conquered was Babylon, Egypt, and if I'm correct, Lydia. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, let me know if I'm off on that, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it's Babylon, Egypt, and Lydia. Those are the 3 places that were conquered by the Medo-Persians. Yeah, I didn't really want to be taking a picture of, man. But it's all right. It's cool. It's cool. Oh, man. It's just, that's what people do, innit? They take pictures. But, I mean, it would have been respectful if they asked, man. But they just take pictures and stuff. But you just don't know, man. You just don't know. Like, God could be your agent. You just got to be very well aware of everything out here, man. Because this word is getting out. Now, I don't know that for sure. But it's possible. It's possible. I don't know that for sure. But it's possible. So, I mean, certain people that's doing unusual things from the outside, you're going to get scoped out nowadays, man. This is how it's going to go down. And he takes another picture again. He takes another picture again. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really care about that. That's just what that is. If you want to take a picture, that's cool. I'm not even going to let it get the best of me, man. It is what it is. And to conclude as well, like the scripture says, that we will be a spectacle unto the people. We will be a spectacle unto the people. So that's just what that is, man. So anyway, let me continue to read on with this. And after this, I saw in the night vision, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. And no, I'm going way off. Right. So anyway, after this, I beheld and lo, another like a leopard, which had the back of it the 4 wings of a fowl, and the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given unto it. So the leopard represented the ancient Greeks, the ancient Greece Empire, all right, or the Greek Empire, right? So you had one which became the leader, or situated that empire, so to speak, and he ruled for 12 years, and he passed on, and his 4 sons came on the scene. And sometimes the names escape me, but I know maybe two of the names. You have what is it, Lasamicus, and Cassandra, and there's another set of two I'm forgetting. Right, you had Ptolemy, you had three, and the other one you had yeah, exactly, you had Seleucus, and I believe the Antiochus lineage came from that lineage too. The Seleucus lineage. I'm gonna have to check back on that. Matter of fact, let me go check it right now. Let's go into that right now. Seleucus. Seleucid, right? All right, Seleucid and Antiochus, right? So let's just check into that real quick. Right. So I was correct. Right. Let me just make sure. All right. So now let me type this in instead. I should have typed this in instead. Yeah. Yes, I was right. Yep. I was right. Cool. Yeah, so we got that checked. Just got to make sure we right here. We don't give the wrong information. Yeah, so now let's get right back into the book of Daniel, shall we? Yeah, so and after this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue of the feet of it. And it was diverse from all of the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. So what made this beast dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly? Because the way they ruled with the power of the military, and the military was dreadful indeed. They were skilled with the sword. Now you can say that Esau maximized on the sword. He had some level of power that could be demonstrated, that could woo, the people at the time to a degree. Although you had people of other nations that try to come up against the Roman system, but their asses got shut down. Why? Because the Most High was dealing with them. From the left-hand side, it's like right now, this society can't be taken down. Why? Because the Most High is dealing with them. So how is the Lord dealing with this from the left-hand side? And of course, they consent to spirits of all sorts, which is contrary to the Lord and everything, right? But at the same time, the Most High has ordained this structure, this power structure. Just like he ordained that power structure at the time. And in that power structure, which was the ancient Roman Empire, Paul mentioned that. Paul was basically letting them know, these zealots, because they wanted to see the downfall of Rome because of what happened to their ancestors going all the way back to King Herod, right? So Jake wanted that get back right there and it. And you could consider them type of cats like, equivalent to like the Black Panther Party, that was kind of looking for some kind of payback, And but what Paul was letting them know, look, for the ones of them that believe, is that, look, you're going to have to calm down. You're going to have to just fall back because, look, the Most High ordained this system to be what it's going to be. So you got to go along with it. If you got to be a good old boy citizen of society, then that's just what you're going to have to be. All right. Because at the end of the day, Esau has the upper hand physically. We have the upper hand against Esau spiritually. And with that being the case, we don't need to do anything, because when you look at everything from a spiritual angle, we've already got the victory. Everything's already ours. We've already won. We've already overcame. Yahweh Shai already did all the work physically in times past. when he was on that 40-day fast, right? And then Satan came to tempt him when he was at his lowest point and still kicked his ass. He was going scripture for scripture, but Yahushua, overcame Satan, and then after that was all said and done, who came in the midst of Yahushua? The angels did. So it was already said and done that the sons of God would have already overcame under Yahushua. Like right now as it stands, Yahushua has all power and the authority, doesn't he? In the book of Matthew 28:19, as that's explained. So if he's in the heavens and he has all of that power which is given on him by the Father, then we've already gotten the victory. We've already won. All we got to do is continue to consent unto him, and that's it. We've already won the spiritual war. So if something has been had spiritually, then it's going to be had physically. But right now, Esau physically has the upper hand. But it doesn't mean that he has the upper hand against us spiritually. So he's going to, from a spiritual standpoint, yeah, he got it going on right now, but he's going to basically lose. And when he loses, he's going to lose miserably. They're going to pretty much come out of their exalted state, and they're going to be brought to where they belong, to their basis state. So much so that they're going to be put through a lot of hell, man. All right? Under us. And that explains itself in the book of what is it? Luke 16 explains this very well with the parable that was given. What is it? The poor man Lazarus and the rich man, right? So again, from a spiritual standpoint, they've lost and we've overcome. We've gotten the victory already. It's already been done. It's already been situated. And no matter what Esau does, no matter whether he tries to find loopholes by dealing with CERN and conjuring up spirits and doing all of this extra stuff, it don't matter what he does. It's going to end the same. Just like case in point, Esau tried to subdue us through the school systems. And through the school systems, what did he do? He used these systems to pretty much brainwash us, to have us think as just being slaves under this empire, under this world. Just like I believe it was one of the Rockefellers which mentioned, I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of laborers, something along those lines. So that's what the school systems was all about, especially the public school systems. It was based on you being brainwashed and mentally structured to be okay with everything the way the system is and your oppression. Okay? That's what it was made to do. And in these school systems, they can then pretty much iron out to see, okay, who's going to be this Messiah that we need to be aware of and all of that stuff, right? And all a Messiah is someone that which is anointed. Hence you get the term, the word Messiah goes back to the word Mashiach, which means anointed. So Esau's been kind of pinpointing, trying to see who the Messiahs are going to be, as they like to call it, the black Messiahs are going to be, right? But what the Lord did, the Lord put us through different situations so that we don't get seen. Because if we were seeing that, we wouldn't be doing this right now. We would probably be on some other nonsense. Esau would have figured out a way to, inject us with poison or whatever. Whatever Esau got up their sleeves, man. Right? But again, none of these things could ever happen because the Most High had us, become who we became while we was in school and did the things that we did so that we can hide out, so that we don't become seen amongst these devils, man. And the thing of it is, we already here. The thing with the Mashiach, if I'm saying that correctly, the Mashiach, basically, we're already here right now. The messiahs that they were looking for are here on your streets. They just were hidden. They were associated with the world, so to speak. And when I say the world, I'm talking about the world of our people. Doing what Jake do in the projects and acting as though how they acted in these school systems. We did the same thing. So we look the same. We dressed the same. We act the same. We did everything the same. We were simpletons just like they were. So Esau couldn't really couldn't really spot who the Messiahs were going to be, right? Until they got of age and went through certain experiences in life. And, you know, and these experiences or these circumstances that hit us, it made us to think, right? And even with what was already in our head already, we already kind of knew that something wasn't right. And we had to go find something, man. Like, you know, that's just me talking. Like, when I was in my late teens, I just knew that, man, shit just wasn't right in this world. Things just wasn't really right, you know, and I needed to find something. Like, what was the truth of the matter? Like, that was really what was hitting me home, you know? What is the truth? And guess what? The Lord brought me to it. And now I'm bringing out what I've already had before. Hence you get the term education, which means to draw out from the Latin educare. All right. So we're bringing out this spirit that we've always had in us. We're bringing out the words of the Lord. Excuse me. We're bringing out the words of the Lord that we once had, that we lost. That's why, as the Apostle Peter, as he said, I will stir up your pure minds by way of remembrance. Right. And what would we remember? We would remember the words that we had as servants, the prophets in times past. And we would remember who we were. The sons of God, the Israelites. That's what we remember. Okay. And these same messiahs, or anointed ones, have you will, would declare the message to the people that, look, you're an Israelite too. And the awakening becomes larger and larger and larger. All right. And therefore infidelity is cut off. So now, let's continue to read on, man. And after this, I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. And the beast had also 4 heads, right? And dominion was given unto it. So the 4 heads was your members, which were coming out of Ptolemy. Excuse me. Let me say it more better. The 4 heads were Ptolemy, Seleucid, Lasamicus, and Cassander. Those were the 4 heads that took over the ancient Greek world at the time after the death of Alexander, you know, the Great. We used to call him the creep, right? And when you check it too, Alexander the Great, he was cool with the Israelites, man. When you go into that history, he was kind of cool with them, you know. Yeah, so now let's go and read this now. This is where I was at originally. Oh boy. Yeah, again, brothers, just bear with me, man. This I saw in the night vision, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth, and it devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue of defeat of it. And it was diverse from all of the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. So what was diverse? What made this beast or this system diverse? Because prior before Rome came in, you had kingdoms that were ruled, and it was based on a patrilineal way of governing the people. Now, what do I mean by that? Meaning that the king, if the king passed on, he would give all of his inheritance, including the kingdom, to his sons, which would be, you know, his princes, so to speak. All right. So the prince would become the king, so to speak. It was based on nepotism, which this society has it the same way to a degree, right? But what made this beast different? Now let's go into the book of somewhere in the book of Maccabees, which explains why this beast was different from the rest of them. I mean, I could say it, but I would rather bring the scripture out instead. So now let me see what I can do. Yeah, let me do this. All right, so now let me do this. Right, yes, First Maccabees 8 and verse 14. Right, so now as this reads, yet for all this, none of them, matter of fact, let me do this. Again, this is another reason why they were different from the other beasts. Also that whom they would help to a kingdom, those, matter of fact, let me go up. Okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking out loud where I should start. Okay, yeah, I could start there. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to begin by reading verse 12. But with their friends and such as relied upon them that kept amity, and that they had conquered kingdoms both far and nigh, insomuch as all that heard of their names were afraid of them. Right? Also that whom they would help to a kingdom, those reign, and whom again they displace. Finally, that they were greatly exalted. And yet, for all this, none of them wore a crown or was clothed in purple to be magnified thereby. Moreover, how they made for themselves a senate house, wherein 320 men sat in the council daily, consulting always for the people, and to the end they might be well ordered. So that's what made them different, is the fact that they allowed the people, as it seems, right, to vote in to be their Caesar. And that's how the ancient Roman Empire, handled their business, so to speak, in regards to who's going to be over the people. And this is where you get your idea of democracy from, which isn't really so forthcoming, really, when you check it, because basically once the prime minister or the president gives a particular order, strict order, you got to do it. Case in point, you have the monarchy, right? The so-called monarchy, which gave an edict that eventually all of us are going to have to accept fully the digital ID, right? So if people had a form of democracy, then people wouldn't have to, they would have the ability or the power to disregard what is said of the king, so to speak. But that's not the case, is it? Case in point, let's just bring up what happened 6 years ago. What happened? People were told to stay home, right, and protect the NHS down here in the UK, right? That's what we were told to do. And when we line up, we got to line up what? I think we have to be what? We had to line up, I forgot the measurement, man. How space we had to line up between between each other, right? But we was under orders. And also the world was under a curfew. Britain was under a curfew. And even not just here in the UK, but other places too, when the seal was going out, right? So we had to take heed. There was no such thing as, oh yeah, well, I don't really agree with this. No, you agree with it. Otherwise, so you had to deal with it. So again, if democracy is so it, then how come democracy wasn't applied in them times? So really what people have, as we all have, is privileges. Because privileges are given and taken away. So is that really democracy? No. And the word democracy just means just that. The rule of the people. All right. The word demo, which means and also cracy or cratic means to rule. But the people don't rule anything. All right. That's all a facade. That's just to give people this idea that you have a sense of freedom and your free will. You will to vote in your prime minister or your president. But in all reality, all of these people, when you really check it, they subscribe to those that are above them. They got bosses. We're told that the highest office or the highest position to hold is to be the prime minister or the president. That's not the truth. There's higher officials. They got the advisories with them, and their advisories are linked in with higher ups. And let's just even specify a little bit. The central bankers, they're the ones that's rolling and controlling everything. Hence is why the world is going to come under what? The digital ID setting. Right? And what are we going to have right along with the digital ID setting? Your CBDCs. Okay, which was established by what? The BIS, which stands for, Bank International Settlements, which goes back to what? The central banking dynasty. So when you check it, the whole world is under the power of the central bankers. That's why you have central banks, thousands of them worldwide. Why is that? Because they need to keep tabs on everything, and they need to remain in power over all those that claim to be prime ministers and presidents, so that they can get the ball rolling already on towards their final agenda, which is going to what? Have it so that everybody is going to have to get their ID, which is going to be on the reform of a chip, an implantable chip. And it's all based on gradualism. There they say, okay, yeah, you need to set your ID up on your phone or what have you, and all of this stuff, and you're gonna have your digital wallet. But what is this all about realistically? What is the final nail in the coffin? Is that all that? All right, all of your data certificate. You want to talk about your national security, right? If you're in America, I believe it's set to your social security, right? We call it national security here, and you have your social security number over there, right? So all of this information, right? And Salakia, when I say believe, again, I ain't really had that much sleep, so my head ain't really all the way there, so just bear with me. So yeah, the thing of it is, all of your important information about you is going to be had on your ID, which is going to be based on the form of your chip. That's where it's all going. Okay? And you know what's beautiful about it is the fact that the Lord is still in the midst of all of this stuff, because it ties into what? John the Revelator, the vision that he had. Okay? It ties into that. It ties into the book of Revelations 13, where it was said that what? He caused of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark. Right? In their right hand and also in their forehead. Now, just because it says the right hand and their forehead, it doesn't mean, oh yeah, well, I could take the chip on my chin somewhere, and that doesn't count for me to take the mark. Listen, if you could do that. If you think that's what you're gonna do, you do that, and we'll see how far you go with that. Because once you do that, you've already pledged your allegiance that you don't believe in the Lord. What you've rather had basically declared is that you're at one with this world. You never believed in the Most High. You believed in Shaitan and his word. That you pledge your allegiance to Satan versus you. Okay? Now, yeah, let me see something real quick. All right, so now let's get out of here. I'm trying to get rid of this. Come on, man. Right. Okay, now let's get back to work and let's get right into this over here. Yeah, so anyway, moreover, how they had made for themselves senate houses, wherein 320 men sat in the council daily, consulting always for the people, to the end that they might be well ordered, and that they committed their government to one man every year. Like down here in the UK, men can remain in power, so-called, for maybe 3 years, some cases 4 years. But America is guaranteed is pretty much it's either 4 years or 8 years. All right. But in Rome, they did it like every year. Like you had every season for a year. But the point is that that's what made them different from the rest of the beast. And there's a particular point that I'm making out here, right? Reading all about this anyway. So anyway, as this reads, and it was diverse from all of the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns, and the 10 horns represents those original 10 European nations that came together, coining themselves you had the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, And then you had what was called the Treaty of Rome, which was established in 1958, I believe. Right. Yeah, it was 1950. It was 1958, and then they coined themselves the Treaty of Rome. Yeah, this is the European Union. All right. Showing you that they know that this system is the revival version of Rome, coming back all over again, as Bible prophecy had it so, as we're reading about. I consider the horns, and behold, they came up among them another little horn, and before whom there were three of the first horn plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. So what is this little horn? Now we talking. This little horn is the is the horn which cometh out of the seventh, which is the eighth, which goeth into perdition. All right, and this horn is referring to America now. And it's just simple history. All you got to do is check out the history when Britain came to colonize America. You had what was called 13 colonies. So if it wasn't for the UK, you wouldn't have the America that you have right now. Okay, so that's the thing. This little horn is also known as the eighth horn, which cometh out of the seventh horn unto perdition, according to the book of Revelation, the 11th chapter, if I'm correct. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. And what are those great things? Meaning they spoke against the Lord. They spoke great things in terms of blasphemy is concerned. And I'm gonna prove that. Let's prove that real quick. Right. Yeah, so this is Revelations 13 and verse 4. And as this reason, they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, and who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things, and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. So yeah, this is referring to the European Union and what have you, right? But the great things, hold on, wait, matter of fact, let me go and check something real quick. Let's check something real quick, son. Right. Okay. Yeah, so we got that. Yeah, so the great things are referring to the blasphemies, but more so, just to be more intricately correct here, the great things are speaking about the demonstration of power that they had, as they did in the 1940s, when you had the atomic bomb that was dropped and things of that nature, which really sending a message to let it be known that, look, we ain't to be reckoned with. All right. And that was like that was a big deal back then, because we're talking about the 40s, no nation had that kind of technology at all. But now everyone has that same atomic or nuclear, you could say missile. So everyone now has the ability to be superpowers. OK, so, yeah. Just to be more vividly correct, speaking great things represents that they were able to demonstrate power. And let's go into that further amount the more, right? Speaking great things, right? Great things, which we have the word megas, which is the meaning to that of great, as well as we know. Right. Verse 4, which is the point. Not verse 4, but biblical usage 4. Used of intensity and its degrees with great effort of the affections and emotions of the mind, of, of natural events, powerfully affecting the senses, violent, mighty, strong. Now let's go down, right? And let's also read this as well. Persons eminent for ability, virtue, authority, or power. So they did all of that in, what is it, in 1948, when they dropped those bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. That's what that was basically about. You know, that was what shocked the senses of those nations around the world to let it be known. Look, you know, we the niggas in charge now. All right. That was what that was all about. That was a powerful message. Okay. But guess what? With all of that being said, that was the Lord that gave them that power, that gave them the blessing to rule by the sword. That was their power. So with that being, so with that now, we slow down. With that being the case, with that same blessing that they had, that they used against the world, is now going to be brought to their curse. Just like what was told to Peter, the apostle Peter, right? Well, he later became an apostle, but he was a disciple of Yahushua. What did Yahushua tell him? He said, look, he that liveth by the sword will die by the sword. Something along those lines, he said. So doesn't that apply to Esau? Of course it applies to him. Okay? So that blessing is going to be to his curse, because it's going to bring him down and under, and it's going to bring him to his death and destruction. But like I said, there's a particular point. I'm going to land my plane. So as this reads, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, and before whom they were three of the first horn plucked up. Of the first horn plucked up by the roots, and behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and the mouth speaking great things. Exactly. So we understand what the speaking of great things is. And the three which was plucked up by the root, you'll have to go and research the Revolutionary Wars on that, because you had, I believe, you had the Spanish, you had the French, as well as you had the Brits. And I believe the French were known as the Hessians, if I'm correct, when you go into that history, right? So you had a portion of land that the Spanish had, and then you had a portion of land that the French had, and what have you. And all of that was taking over. All right. So those are the three that were plucked up by the root. And what I'll do is when I come across the scripture again, I'm going to get more in depth into this, because I want to get into this properly. You know, I would like to, but you know, I've said it from a basic standpoint. All you got to do is check that history out. But what I'll do is I'll revisit this if the Spirit wants me to revisit it. Yeah, so anyway, now as this reads, verse 9, and I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, right? Whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. And his thrones was like the fiery flames, and his wheels as the burning fire. Exactly. So this is referring to what? The Most High now. So after all of these thrones were mentioned, guess who was mentioned? The throne that was estimated. All right. The Most High. He was mentioned afterwards. So why, after all of that which was said and done, he was mentioned afterwards? Because guess who's going to be in the position of power next? The saints are going to be in a position of power, and their power is going to be their Lord in heaven. The same Lord in heaven that got them through Egypt. All right. The same Lord in heaven that that was with King David, you know, knocking them Philistines out, taking their asses out, and destroyed Goliath as well with the slingshot. So that's who's going to be in the position of power with our arm. And our arm is going to be our Lord and our Savior. And that's going to be the power of all of us as a nation. All right? And that's how we're going to rule the kingdom. And that's why it is written also too, shall possess the kingdom and take the kingdom forever and ever. So how are we going to take the kingdom? It all begins with the right hand of the Lord. It all begins there. That's why it is written also too that what? We have to wait upon the Lord until he rise up to the prey. All right, because we can't do it. We don't have the spiritual undying power that he's going to be presenting himself with. We don't have it. So we got to wait on the one who has that, who has the power to save, who has the power to take down. Okay? Remember, just to quote again, Matthew 28:19, who gave him all authority in the heavens and earth? Yahweh did. So if you got all that damn power, guess what? You could do what you will. And Yahweh ain't going to do what he wills. He's going to do what the Father sent him to do. Because again, he was always about his Father's will, even as a man here on this earth in the flesh. Okay? So again, verse 10, a fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands and thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000s times 10,000s stood before him, and the judgment was set, and the books were opened. Right? Let me read that again. And the fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands and thousands ministered unto them, and 10,000s times 10,000 stood before him, and the judgment was set, and the books were opened. So when I read this verse here, this verse is very reminiscent of what is written in the book of Revelations 5. And I want to pull that out real quick. Yeah, let me leave it on there, and let's pull out Revelations 5. There's a particular verse I want to get. That's why the Lord is known as what? The Lord of hosts, and or the Lord of Sabaoth. So now let's go down and let's read Revelations 5. And let's read this over here. See, so I was correct. Revelations 5:11. And I beheld and I heard the voice of many angels round about the throne, because I was kind of guessing when I was reading that. In my mind, I was guessing that would have to apply to Yahweh Shai, which it does. And I beheld and I heard the voice of many angels round about the throne, and the beasts and the elders. And the number of them was what? 10,000 times 10,000 and thousands of thousands. Exactly. Saying with a loud voice, worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessings. So yeah. So when we go back to Daniel 7 now and verse 10, and that's why it also reads too, the judgment was set and the books were opened. That also is reminiscent of Revelations, the 5th chapter, because it tells you that what? He was the one that loosed the 7 seals. And it makes a lot of sense, because when you think about it, Yahweh Shai was the epitome of the word of God, the word of the Most High, as we like to call him, you know? So it would have to take the word of the Most High, which was made flesh 2,000 years ago, which has now become what? An immortal entity now. It would have to have taken him to open the books. All right? It would have to take the word of the Most High to what? Reveal the word of the Most High. Let me put it that way, much more and better instead, Charlie. And that man right there, what he would do is, he would what? Reveal it to what? The servants, the prophets. As it is written, the Lord doeth nothing, but he revealeth his secrets unto the servants, the prophets. Okay? So the books were open because of him. So now let's get out of here. And we're going to read this over here. I beheld then because of the voice of the great words, which the horn spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain. Right? And what beast was going to be slain? The Roman system. This Roman system, which is going to be slain. Right? I beheld even till the beast was slain and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. What is the burning flame going to consist of? We keep talking about it over and over and over and over again. The nuclear destruction and the fire that our Lord and our Savior is going to come with. All right. That's what it's all about. And that's why we're in the Third World War right now. And the elder apostles, which came before all of us put together, was teaching this since the 80s, the 90s. You know, we're talking what, 40 years and moving forward. Just like Noah, look at Noah. I like to mention Noah, right? Just making this example. Noah prophesied about what, 120 years about the flood coming. And 120 years later, the flood came. So we're in that time right now of the prophecy speaking. This is how we know we're in the end. And what does it mean to prophesy? Or what does the word prophecy mean? Mean to speak before, to give a prediction. So at times, just because you have a prediction, that prediction may come maybe 100 years. It may come 40 years. It may come 60 years, however long. But eventually when it comes, that's when it's going to be slated that you had what? You had the prophets that were out in the streets telling you to do. All right? As it is written in the book of Ezekiel, it says that what? Then shall they know that a prophet have been among them. So the people in this generation, which is the same generation that was back during the time of Noah, they're going to consider the same thing. As it is also written in the Bible that there is no new thing under the sun, saying that it is new, and it had already had been. It's just a playback. That's why a lot of people will say things like, oh yeah, history has a way of repeating itself. It damn sure does. And they're absolutely correct on that. All right. So this is what we were called to do. We were called to prophesy. Yeah, we wondered about in our ignorance, not knowing what in the world was going on, the world that we were involved in especially. But guess what? Eventually we was going to come to the awakening that we are the people of the Most High. We are the sons of God. We are the Israelites, and begin to prophesy. All right. Because we can clearly see it. And sometimes when you read these scriptures, you can actually vision what's being said. You know, sometimes it gives you them chill bumps, man. Excuse me. Yeah, so as this reads again, I beheld then because of the voice of the great word which the horn spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. Now, let me read the scripture over here. What was it said in John? 1 John. And I believe it's chapter 2. Yes, indeed, as I think this is. Right. So this is, what is it? 1 John chapter 2 and verse 15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. And if any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. I'm getting to the point. For all that is in the world is the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life. It's not of the Father, but is of the world. Right? And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of my Father abideth forever. Now, this wasn't it, actually. This wasn't it, but this is pretty good, but it's not the one that I have in mind. Let me do this instead. Let's do this instead. Let's get it's what the Apostle Paul said. And they that use this world, this is 1 John 7 and 31. And they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. And that's the point right there. Because all of the worlds which came before us came and went as a fashion does. Trends. You know? So these things, men partake in what's of that trend, and then before you know it, there's another comes forward. And then another generation participates on what is of that trend. All right? So that's how worlds are, which came there and that and lasted for its particular point in time, for a season. And so this society is no different from the previous systems which was on the scene. Okay, because even this society is numbered, as well as that's written in the book of Job 14 and 5. Okay, so yeah, man, I want to get back to this over here, and we're gonna read. Let me see if I could turn my phone up a little bit, because it's starting to get bright outside now due to the sun. Yeah, I can't make it any brighter, so I'm gonna have to just do the best that I can. Yeah, so as this reads, I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, and I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. And I saw in the night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man with the cloud of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. So there you go. All right, because the one which is as the Son of Man, which is the Son of Man, Yahweh Shai, the Lamb, what is he going to do? He's going to make it possible that this is happening. Let's jump down a couple of verses. Verse 26, but the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. And all dominions shall serve and obey him. Right. So all shall serve and obey him. That's why it is also written that what? Let's go and read it. I'm not going to quote it. I'm going to read it instead. Let's go and get the book of Philippians, chapter 2. And let's read what? Verse 8. We'll begin there, which is in the point, but we're going to get down to the point, which is in verse 11. And being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. And wherefore the Most High also highly exalted him and given him a name which is above every name, that at the time of Yahweh Shai, every knee should bow, and of things in heaven and in things in earth and things under the earth, and that every tongue should confess that Yahweh Shai, the anointed, is Lord, to the glory of the power of the Father. So that's what's going to happen in the kingdom. All is going to obey him, and even at his appearing, even the earth is going to obey him. All that which has life in it is going to obey him. The ordinances in the heavens is going to obey him. All right. And I believe, if I'm correct, it mentions in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 3. And Habakkuk is, oh, right. Okay, cool. In your wrath, Lord, remember mercy, because he's coming back with exceeding wrath. As it is written, vengeance is mine, save the Lord. And also his indignation. What does the word indignation mean? Meaning righteous anger. You know? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man.
You good?
You want me to come into your video? Because I'll make them laugh. Tell me God, man. Tell me God.
You all right, man?
What's your name, brother?
No, man. My name is Laban. My name is Laban. My name is Laban. Yeah,
Laban. Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too, man.
I'm going to show you something that didn't need God. But if I had God, maybe I'd have done it better. This was me 6 weeks ago.
Okay. Oh, okay.
6 weeks.
So you lost a lot of weight.
3.5 stone.
Wow. Interesting. But you know that you to a degree that was God though. That to a degree that was God. To a degree that was God. Because
to a degree, he gave me the power, man.
But there you go. That's what I was.
He gave me the power.
That's it. That's it.
So where's your church, brother?
No, this is it. This is the church. This is the church. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
man.
What religion are you actually?
Are you familiar with the Hebrew Israelites?
No. Tell me. Educate me. Come and educate me.
Well, you can stand right here, my brother.
Your following will go up with me on it, because I'm starting a website.
Yeah.
Called From Fit to Fat in 6 months.
Okay.
In 3 months, I
All
have
right.
a six pack.
All right. Now I believe you, man.
I'm
I believe.
67.
Yeah.
Because I got God.
Whatever it is. And what does the word God mean? It means power. So it took a sense of power for you to get that, and it took the Most High.
That was me 6
Right.
weeks ago.
That's it, man.
I hope you got a large following because they're all going to come to me.
Yeah, man.
Have you ever read the book The Secret?
Well, I remember reading that a while
I
back
live
ago.
my life by that.
Okay.
I met you for a reason.
Yeah.
What church do you go to, but it's not your church?
Well, I mean, this is
'Cause
like I
wanna
told
go-
you.
I want to go to a church
Yeah.
where they're singing all this hallelujah and all the black people and everything.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
going
right.
crazy. So give me a church.
No, like I said, this is the
Yeah,
church.
but there's no one here singing.
Yeah, but I know, but we're gonna be singing in paradise, my brother. We're gonna be
Sing
singing in
now.
paradise.
I need to sing.
We can't sing right now.
Yeah,
You know,
I
because
bet
the
you can sing.
the
Sing
thing
to
with
me.
the church,
Sing
nah,
to
I
me.
can't sing, man. I can't sing to save my life right now.
You're from America.
Yes, I am from America.
Yes, you are. There, we got a little Yankee here who ran away from Trump. Yeah, sensible guy.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. People
We
don't like
hate
Trump,
Trump.
man. I know,
They
I know.
it. God must. God will give him a chance, but he won't take it because he's a bad man.
Well, he even said it. He said he won't. He said he won't make it to. He won't make it to heaven. He actually said that. Trump. So he knows. He knows he's
already
wicked.
50 feet under, my friend. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, he is.
You got a channel, have you? Because I want to watch.
Well, you can watch.
Are you going to post it on your?
It's going live right now. It's going live right now. So after I get done, it's gonna post.
So people can see us now.
Yeah, you live right now.
Okay, people, I've lost 3.5 stone. I want all the lights in 6 weeks. I'm a crazy 67-year-old. Bad teeth, by the way.
Right,
But this
right.
man inspired me to go the extra distance.
Right.
Why is no one watching?
No, you know what it is, because when you're teaching the absolute truth, at times they suppress it, man. They suppress the
truth
sometimes
is,
sometimes I get the views, sometimes I don't, man.
Gives you energy. I don't know what it is. It may be this man's God. Please stop.
It's the Holy Spirit.
It's the Holy Spirit.
That's exactly
and
what it is.
It runs through my veins. Mm-hmm. And my little puppy Billy.
Right. That's right. All right, man. Take care, man.
I like putting a smile on people's faces.
Well, you put a smile on my face. All right, take care, man. Much love, man.
If you go viral, yeah, take my telephone number and send it to me. Send me the link. Send me the link to your thing.
Okay, all right.
Oh, what's it called?
Well, I tell you what it's called. It's called GMS London Forecasters. You got your phone on you, right? You got your phone on you or anything?
Yeah, search it. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, what you can do, I got one in better. You could type in GMS Israelites.
Go on.
No, just GMS.
Go on.
All right. I'll type it in for you, man. I'll type it in for you, man. All right, let me do this.
Hold on. God just gave me my finger usage back. When you started, so.
Okay, let me do this. GMS Israelites, right? And yeah, they're going to talk all kind of nonsense about us, right? Because again, we're about the truth. And when you speak the truth in this world,
Listen,
they don't really like
I
you.
see you, I see truth. You couldn't lie
All right.
if it killed you.
Well, what
God,
it-
he's dropped down dead.
Oh man, do you have
It's a favourite.
do you have YouTube with you?
No, I just came up with this idea when I looked in the mirror.
Let me
got
type this
YouTube.
in.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I got YouTube.
I'm gonna type GMS Israelites, right?
And put
GMS.
YouTube in there and find it. And save it as a favourite. Billy, why are you eating grass?
Yeah, GMS Israelites, right there. Yeah, so you could just watch this over here, man, and you'll see what we're all about and
Have you
everything.
saved it as a favourite? Because I'm walking now.
No, I can't save it as a favorite. You got all of the content you need,
But
man.
this is a sign.
And you
Look
can't
here.
and you
Look
can't
at
smoke.
your- So this is weird. See you. This is one of my companies.
Like I said, my man, I gotta continue to teach, man. I gotta continue to teach. Yeah. So anyway, but nice to meet you, though. Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna get right back to the word, right? We're gonna get right back to the word of the Most High, and as this reads, and being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. Exactly. So he became obedient even unto death. And now he's going to be what? Highly exalted above all. So if we are tied to Yahweh Shai, if we are tied to the Messiah, then guess what? We're going to receive the same kind of reaction from all of those that even were enemy against us. All right? Just like as well as it's written that what? They that have hated you, I'm going to be saying it the wrong way. But just bear with me, because again, I ain't really had that much sleep, man. So I'm doing the best that I can, right? So as well as it's written in the book of Isaiah, the 60th chapter, that what? All of those that have hated us will come what? Bending unto us. That's going to be a given. That's going to be the thing in the kingdom that we're gonna have. We're gonna have that ability to, all right, take care, Mac. Right? We're gonna have the ability to again. Show and demonstrate the power of the Most High right along with Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Shai by then would have already endowed us with the spiritual power anyway. All right, but it all goes back to who? Yahweh Shai yet again. So as this reads over here, and I mean, that's to be expected, man. That's to be expected. You know, you're gonna have, people come up, man, and try to subdue what we got going on over here, man. Because there's all, you know what I mean? There's all kind of words out here. I mean, you gotta like pretty much again be as wise as serpents, harmless as doves. Just to keep the peace, man. You know what I mean? So you just gotta sometimes you gotta go along with it, and then eventually if it gets silly, hey, that's the outlet to say, look, man, we teaching here, man. We teaching, you know what I mean? We got business to handle. But yeah, this is so now let's continue to read on. Verse 27. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. And all dominions shall serve and obey him. And hereto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitation much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. Exactly. So he was kind of he was messed up based on the vision he had, because he actually saw, maybe in a holographical form, of these various kingdoms and what was done in these kingdoms. So it messed them up. All right. But at the same time, when we read this over here, we're already living in that time. So we already have a greater understanding of these things. So we're not so messed up as the prophets of old were, because these things were going to come in a time, sometime way after, not sometime way after, but in sometime a little after, and then way after. Okay. And we're in that time way ahead of when Daniel had received the vision of it. So there you go. So our kingdom is going to be an everlasting kingdom, and our power is going to be our Lord in heaven. And we're going to rule the nations in that kind of fashion with that level of power. And when you check it, every kingdom had their spiritual form of power anyway, whether it's to do with false deities that they worshiped and what have you, or conjuring up spirits, casting spells, and all of that kind of stuff. That was theirs, at the time. But our power is going to be, again, one who is calling the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You understand? That's going to be our power. As he's already claimed, he claimed that we're going to be his power. So yeah. Now, let's see where we at. Yeah, so now we're going to go and get the book of Psalm 75. And where we at? Verse 5. Lift up not up your horn on high with a stiff neck, for promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But the Most High is the judge, and he putteth down one and setteth up another. Exactly. So he putteth down one and setteth up another. That's what he did. That's what the Most High did in times past. That's why he showed Daniel the vision of these empires that he was going to pretty much rise up and then subdue and bring down to the floor. Okay? Because there's an higher power. Again, that's why we call them the Most High power. He sets up powers and brings them down again. For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup, and the wine is red, and it is full of mixture, and he poureth out the same. But the dregs thereof, and all of the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them. So they're going to participate under those curses. From the service of the curses, even to the depth of the curses. All right. And that's basically first beginning of the nation of Edom. The nation whom the Lord hates, and the nation whom loves to hate Jacob. They're gonna pretty much participate being under these curses, the same curses that we was under for all of these years. They're gonna participate in that, and it's gonna be so thick, it's gonna be so stringent, so potent, that they're gonna be inquiring, beggingly, to lighten the load of hell that's gonna be dealt with, so to speak. Again, read the parable of the poor man and the rich man. And that's exactly just that. Right? So that's that right there, man. You know, the Most High is the judge, and he putteth down one and set up another. And he's going to set up the meek, as well as is written again, the meek shall inherit the earth. All right. So now when we look up the word here, we're going to look up a word, and we're going to go. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Let's do this instead. Let's do this instead. Psalms.
Don't worry about it. Got to figure out who there.
Yeah. Right. See, I left out a scripture, man. I left out a scripture, and the scripture is, yeah, let me figure this out.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, let me figure this out. But you know, let's move forward. Let's go on forward. Let's move forward. Let's bring this back. Right. That's the scripture that I was missing. See? Right. So, okay. Yeah. Let me go and pull that real quick. I thought I had that on deck already. Yeah. So, you know what? Tell you what we're going to do. Yeah, let me see something real quick. Okay, I got that already. Because I want to get this right. So I want to put this in the right order. Yes, okay, so now we got it. We got it. Okay, so now let's bring this up over here. Let's bring this up over here. And we're going to read this scripture. Psalms 89 and verse 11 now. The heavens are thine, and the earth also is thine. And as for the world and the fullness thereof, thou hast founded them. Exactly. Right? So when we look up the word founded, let's look up the word in the Hebrew. So the word is what? Yasat. The word is Yasat, which means to found, fix, establish, lay the foundation. To found, establish, begin, to fix or seat themselves close together. So that's where you get the word again, foundation, from. So what founded creation? The Lord's wisdom and his understanding. As this reads, Proverbs 3 and verse what? 19, right? The Lord by wisdom hath founded the earth. By understanding hath he established the heavens. By his knowledge, the depths are broken up, and the clouds drop down the dew. My son, let not them depart from thine eyes, and keep sound wisdom and discretion. And so shall they be life unto thy soul, and grace to thy neck. So that's the thing. That's the that's how essential it is to knowing the Lord by knowing the scriptures. Because when you know your power by learning the scriptures, now you have the right kind of knowledge. And with the right kind of knowledge, now we're talking, as well as Yahweh Shai said, right? Now we can have faith in, as what the world calls, an unseen power. And we can go beyond, and we can do unspeakable things. Miracles are wrought. Okay? So you got the right kind of power with the right kind of wisdom. Now we're talking. And this is the reason why this truth is moving the way it's moving. This is the reason why you have a great awakening that's being had all around the planet Earth. Even that's a miracle in itself, because when you look at Jake for so long, they've been down. They've been down and outers, physically and mentally. There is no hope. But now, in the days and the years that we now live in, is that we see a lot of Israelite camps all around, man. Okay, and okay, that's cool. That's all said and well and done and everything. But at the same time, specifically though, the men that are going to show, the men that are going to demonstrate the power of the Lord by miracles being seen, are going to be the men that are going to, again, have this correct wisdom and understanding, or this correct knowledge, which is the truth of it all. And then it's going to be conveyed that, look, these are the sons of God. These are the actual men that believed in Yahweh Shai all this time, based on the miracles that are going to be seen and bear witness, because we applied wisdom. We apply the truth, the knowledge. And what is the greatest miracle that the world is going to see? Our alien-like salvation. What Esau calls it. He calls it alien, which means strange. They're going to see the strangeness of our salvation, because we believed in the power and had the truth and the understanding of the truth. And I say the because you have different kinds of doctrines that are considered truth, but are nothing more than lies. All right. So everybody has their truths, which like the truth is subjective. The truth ain't subjective. The truth is what it is. And we have the understanding of what is, what exists. So guess what? Things are going to be said and done to declare that we had it all along. All right. Yeah, the prophecies are going to speak. That's one way. That's one major way you're going to know that we had it all along. But guess what? The salvation is going to seal the deal on a dramatical scale. That we had it all along. We had it correct all this time. So this truth is man, I can't put it any other way. It's serious. By his knowledge, the depths are broken up and the clouds drop down to dew. And the clouds, and my son, let not them depart from thine eyes, and keep sound wisdom and discretion. And so shall they be life unto thy soul and grace to thy neck. So that's all I got to read right there. We're going to move forward. And yeah, so with that, we already got that down packed already. We done already read that. So now we're going to go and read some more. Let me see what we got. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so now let's get back to this over here. Yeah, so as this reads, the north and the south, thou hast created them. Tabor and Hermon shall rejoice in thy name. And thou hast a mighty arm, strong is thy hand, and high is thy right hand. Justice and judgment are the habitation of thy throne. Mercy and truth shall go before thy face. Blessed is the people, and here's the point. Blessed is the people that know the joyful sound. Joyful sound. And they shall walk, O Lord Yahweh, in the light of thy countenance. And we have the light. We have the light already. It says, arise and shine, for thy light has come. So if we have the light, then that would make us what? Illuminated. Hence you get the term Illuminati, which means to be enlightened. It isn't a bad word, because you have a bunch of people from the left-hand side that have taken on that word for themselves. No, it just means one who is illuminated. That's all it means. And if people want to get real simple because they are simple, then this truth, everything what I'm saying to you, you know, it's going to go out the window anyway, because I said that one word, right? So the Lord didn't really want you anyway, because you're in your simplicity. I'm talking about based on the definition of the word, and I don't have to explain myself. I said what I said, what the meaning means, and we gonna move forward. We gonna leave it at that. If you can't get it, do your symbol ed based on what I'm saying, because I mentioned that one word, then simply just that. This truth is not for you. All right? That is the deal. So now, let's also read this now. Matter of fact, nope, let's go back up to Psalms 89. So as this reads, justice and judgment are the habitation of thy throne. Mercy and truth shall go before thy face. And guess what? The nation of Israel are going to be considered the throne of the Lord. And that's written in the book of Jeremiah 3 and verse 17 now. And at that time, they shall call Jerusalem the throne of the Lord, and all nations shall be gathered unto it. To the name of the Lord, Yahweh, to Jerusalem, and neither shall they walk any more after the imaginations of their evil heart. So they're not going to walk after the imaginations of their mind, meaning get together and come up with different ideas and concoct a doctrine and make a statue and turn them into gods. No, that's never going to be had, never again. It's not going to be we're not going to have what's the word? We're not going to have a pantheos society like you have right now. What does the word pantheos mean? Meaning all gods. We're not going to have an all God society where all gods can congregate together and be worshipped, like Esau did during the ancient Greeks. You know, when Antiochus Epiphanes destroyed the temple, I believe it was said that he put certain false gods in the temple to be worshipped. So he was setting up a pantheon-based society. We ain't gonna have that. We're gonna have a monotheist society where one power is gonna be worshipped and acknowledged, the true living power. And the sun just chimed in as I said that. Okay? It's going to be one doctrine. It's going to be one power under heaven. As this is written, as prophecy gives it all away. Let's read this again. And at that time they shall call Jerusalem the throne of the Lord Yahweh, and all the nations shall be gathered unto it, to the name of the Lord into Jerusalem, and shall neither they walk any more after the imaginations of their own heart. And the reason why is because they're going to see the gods in us. So as the nations, it was prone for them to worship these other gods, right? Guess what? They're going to worship the gods which are going to be under the main God. All right? We're going to be the under gods under the main power. Now let's even tie that in with Isaiah chapter 2. Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 1 to verse 3. And the word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem, and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountains of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills. And all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord Yahweh, and to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways. And we will walk in his paths, for out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem, and he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. So the rebuke is going to come first. In other words, we're going to kick their ass until they get it right. Right? And also too, just to be truthfully honest, to balance the scales because of the wrongs that they did unto us. But once all of that's all said and done, we're going to have mercy on the nations, and we're going to allow them to be who they're going to be. And guess what? With all of that being said and done, They're going to worship the true and living power. Like I said, instead of us living in or formulating a world which is going to be pantheist, we're going to establish a monotheist type of society where you're going to have one power that's going to be acknowledged and worshiped. Okay? That is going to keep peace, as well as it's written that what? Yeah. You know what I'm going to do? Let me do this. Let me change the mic setting. Just around. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so like I was saying before, all of them nations, they're gonna know that there's only one way. And if you don't follow that way, then guess what? There'll be repercussions. Straight like that. It's just like right now, as it stands. See, this society, right, is rooted in the root is rooted in this way that is rude because Esau is at the helm of it all. If you look at all of these nations, once upon a time they had their traditional customs, clothing that they would wear. Now they're all wearing suits and ties. Right? To be a pilot, you have to what? Speak the language that rules over all, English. Okay, there's a certain way you gotta come. You know what I'm saying? And the way you gotta come to have certain jobs and to be, especially if you want to be successful, you gotta get into that English language. Because again, that's basically the ruling class language to have right now. It's English. Esau has his way all around the planet Earth. So guess what? Our kingdom is going to be no different in the sense of we're going to have our own way, and our way is going to be the most highest way, right? And that's the way that all of the other nations are gonna go. You know, and accept. That's all there is to it. And when you check it, the thing with Jake is naturally influential anyway. So just imagine when we're in the height of our power, we're in the height of our glory, how are we going to be looking? We're going to more so influence them to do what we're doing. Okay? So as this reads here in verse 2, and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountains of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. So all people are going to flow into it, meaning they're going to want to learn after us. And the hills and the mountains just represents governance. So they're going to have their little form of governance and all that stuff. But guess what? We're going to be at the helm of that. It's kind of like the central bankers. The central bankers, you know, they're like the real superior power, the hidden power behind the scenes. But everybody, what? Dances to their tune. All of these politicians that we're taught to believe that holds the highest position of power. You understand? So they're gonna have their setups and what have you, but it's gonna be under us. They're gonna always be tributaries under us because guess what? The Most High just set it up to where we're gonna be in that role, in that position to be the ones to officiate righteousness, for them to keep the laws and the statutes and the commandments thereof. And yes, is it going to be sacrifices for sin in the kingdom? Well, absolutely. But where it concerns sacrificing for sin, that ain't going to be around us. We're not going to be no sinners. We're not going to be trapped in sinful bodies and going off and all that stuff. So there ain't going to be no sacrifice for sins within Israel, but rather yet and still the nations. That's why we're going to be what? Kings and priests, to rule over the people and also pretty much do the sacrifices for sins. So our way is going to be the way, just like, for example, the so-called white man's way right now is the way. That's how kingdoms are constructed. You know, so there ain't going to be no equality. Like now, there ain't no equality right now. Listen, you got different classes of people, even in this society. You have what is called what? As we all say, as we all, you know, coin. You have what? The middle class, lower class, the middle class, upper middle class, lower middle class, the super rich, or you could coin them as the plutocrats. So there's no such thing as equality. That was a lie that was taught to us all to believe. There's no equality. Never was. And then never, okay? Certain men on this earth that can go on the killing spree and don't get arrested. You got certain people that are licensed to do things that most people are not capable of doing, because the difference between those people, as well as what we know who they are, right? They're over government. So if they're over government, they can abscond governmental laws. They can abscond police. All right? And those that are under government, they have to abide by the laws, like all of us put together. So even though you have all of these these classes of men, even under this this government, you have a group of men that are above government that pretty much rule over everything, and and that's why you have what is called the e-files. You think you got all of that going on because these people are able to get away with that stuff. They're licensed to get away with that. That's why they were able to do it in the first place without being caught. And although it's being exposed, guess what? Them people, they're not going to get arrested for the wrongs that they've done, because again, there are a crop of people that are above government to a degree. That's just how it works. So the whole equality thing, again, that was basically put down our throats to believe that, you know, we all have a chance and you know, there's a sense of democracy that we got. It's all lies, man. That was just to pacify the people so that people don't get rowdy and crazy and they don't get nice against their government, man. And they could just accept their oppression. Because if people really knew how things were really going on right now, there would have to be a revolution right now. There would have to be people getting together, taking to the streets and hitting that 10 Downing Street, boy. You know, and when I say 10 Downing Street, I'm talking about here in the UK, those are fun. You know, and even down in the States, everybody would take to the streets towards the White House. Same way. If people really knew, consciously aware of how things were really sort of to be, and especially the money system, more so. All right. So there you go, man. So ain't no such thing as equality. So in the kingdom, it's going to be well known. It's going to be well known who are the people. As a matter of fact, let me go read that in Deuteronomy 7:6. And who ain't the people? Right? Deuteronomy 7:6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy power. And the Lord thy power have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So in our world, we're going to be above all people, as what was ordained from the beginning. All right? That was ordained from the beginning. The Most High Power ordained that. So that's going to be established. So just like what I was saying before, equality never existed. If equality existed, and okay, if I committed the crime and Tony Blair committed the same crime, who would go to jail? I would go to jail because I'm not in relation to those people. You understand what I'm saying? Like Tony Blair, he's way into the dark side. He has connections. That's why he was able to kill all those people in the East. You know, and you got many people that want to get him for for treason, right? That want to try him for treason. And yet this nigga still running his mouth like he ain't did nothing. You know what I'm saying? He just running his mouth talking about go get digital IDs. Back in the I think it was about 2 years ago he came out on the scene about that. You know, and every time Tony Blair rears his ugly head, right, people always posting comments about him. You know, I hate that guy, man. Oh, yeah, he needs to be arrested for treason. He killed all those people and this and that and the third. And let's not even forget even President Bush too. You know, President Bush, he's still all around like nothing ever happened. So again, even in this society, there ain't no damn equality, man. There's no equality in this society at all. It looks like it is. It's facaded as such, but really it isn't. All right, because if we was really under an equal based society, um, Tony Blair would have long time been arrested. He would have been a long time arrested because if another man did what he did, yo, he would have been taken out. He would have been grabbed out of his home, yanked, brought to jail, straight like that. So there's never been this notion of equality. Get out of it, man. Give me a break. Anyway, and there's nothing wrong with it too. This is how it goes, man. It's this. Listen, it's just in worlds. You've always had ranking systems. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's just the reality. It's just how life goes. It's a natural thing. Again, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy power, and the Lord thy power have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself. So there's a people that the Lord chose unto himself, and we happen to be those people. We didn't make ourselves to be of those people. The Lord chose us. We didn't choose ourselves to be. We didn't push ourselves to be chosen of God. It just happened so. Right. So when the kingdom is established, that's going to be exemplified. It's going to be well known that, yeah, these are the sons of God. Look how they look. Look at the glow. Look at the glow that they got. You know, look at their wisdom and their understanding. Look what they're coming with. So just that alone in itself, the way we're going to project ourselves is going to show that we're above all these nations. All right. Even right now, you look at Jake at their lowest form. Look how many hit records Jake was able to come out with. You know, look how much of an impact Jake made on sports. Basketball, football. Jake got into. They showed you. They just got it better. You know what I'm saying? And that's on the lowest form. So just imagine on the highest degree when we're changed, when we're immortalized. So it's going to be signified. It's going to be pretty much exemplified that we're his people. We're God's people. Everybody can't be God's people. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a holy people, because if everyone's holy, then guess what? There's no need to coin us the holy people. All right. You need to, in order for you to have a holy people, you got to have what? Those that are going to be unholy. In other words, unclean. That's why that term was coined, because to us, because the thing of Moses was getting these visions when he was when he was sitting on the mount, right, for 40 days, and all of these things the Lord revealed to him what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah, what the nations were doing, and all of that stuff, right? So what it came down to, that's what I wanted to say. What it came down to is that the other nations were unholy. And that's why the laws came on the scene, to separate the Lord's people whom he chosen to hallow so that they don't participate in these filthy practices. Need to be serving them in cleanliness, as well as the saying goes in the world. Cleanliness is next to godliness, if I'm saying that correctly. So the Lord already ordained us to be a clean people. Again, we can use another word, holy people. And that's what is of our heritage, is to what? To fear the Lord and to keep these laws and these statutes, which is what? Long enduring and clean forever. Like that's the type of people we want to be. Is we want to be clean. We don't want to be filthy. You know, we don't want to be spiritually filthy before our maker. You know, got all kind of dirt on you, man. And nah, man, like we want to be clean. We want to be pure. We want to be righteous. Case in point, you know, sometimes, man, like when you take a shower, you want to make sure you thoroughly, before you come out the shower, you clean, you fresh. You understand what I'm saying? Like that's just our spirit. It's in our spirit to be fresh and clean. You know, you smelling good. There's no odor to you. You fresh. And sometimes, man, like sometimes, you know, hey, when you have a shower, right? Sometimes, right, especially for a certain period of time, you come out of the shower, and sometimes you feel like a brand new nigga. You know what I'm saying? That's a good feeling. You just because that's what Jake is all about. Jake is about realistically, even on a natural scale, right? Like when Jake go to a restaurant or when they use the bathroom, they wash their hands. These Edomites, they don't wash their hands for shit. You know, they'll, you know, I ain't gonna say what they say because I don't want to visualize that, but I'm just saying, once you get done using the bathroom, right, or using the restroom, you better wash those hands. Okay, that's how he was raised, and so we see why we were raised like that, because that's the way you gotta be. You gotta be clean, man. So even the Most High inserted that kind of way in us to be that way. So like I said, that's the way it has to be. You gotta be a clean vessel. And in the kingdom, we're gonna be clean people. We're gonna be clean spiritually, and we're gonna be clean out. Now we talking. And we're gonna have some kind of decorum about us too. You know, we ain't gonna be walking around with dirty shirts on and dirty garments on, and you just looking filthy. Nah, man. We're gonna be clean within and without. So when we present ourselves to the Father, we all right, we good. Even in the temple, look, after you got done, using the bathroom, even in the temple, you couldn't go to the temple. You couldn't do all of that, man. Like the brother, the captain, he going to all of that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. So it's in our culture, it's in our people naturally, and also in our culture to be clean. Now, I'm done talking about that. Let's move somewhere else with it. Right? Let's go and get Deuteronomy 4. Deuteronomy 4 and 6. Verse 5, we'll read that. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, and even as the Lord Yahweh, my power, commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. And so with these things being put into practice, I don't mean to go back to this, but even these other nations, they're going to be clean. It's like right now in these days and times, right? Sometimes when you get around people, right? Some people you can feel they just got filthy spirits in them. Like you don't even want to sit next to them. And there's something about this truth. It just makes you sensitive to people and your environment and everything. And you can kind of tell sometimes that this nigga, he ain't up to no good in secret. You know what I'm saying? That's why you see a lot of the times, like when brothers be teaching, right, and strange people come up, we just give them a fist bump because we don't know what people are doing in secret, man. You got all kind of debauchery that's going on out here that people are doing in secret. And we don't really want no part of what they got on their hands, man. We don't want none of that. You understand? These filthy spirits and these germs that they hold and all that. We don't want none of that shit, bro. But this is the thing, like that's our curse. We gotta ride this thing out. We have to be around people that just ain't really right, man. But in our world, we're not gonna have to deal with all of this nonsense. We're gonna have the power to put everything correct. And that's the thing. When you don't got no power, you can't do nothing. But with Yahweh Shai now, when he comes back on the scene, he's going to give us the power, the authority that he already has. And we're going to set the record straight. And everybody going to be under that clean way that the Most High has already ordained for all men to follow. All right? To go in the way of, And we're going to be at the helm of that. Again, let's read this again. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, and even as the Lord my power commanded me, that you should do so in the land whither you go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great who have the Most High so nigh unto them? As the Lord Yahweh, our power is in all things that we call upon him for. Right? So there you go. So when the day comes and when the holy people are set up and established, everything's going to be holy. Everything's going to be clean. Now, let's also read. Let me go back and read the book of Psalms. In verse 16, as this reads, in thy name shall they rejoice, and all the day, and in thy righteousness shall they be exalted. For thou art the glory of their strength, and in their favor our horn shall be exalted. For the Lord is our defense, and the Holy One of Israel is our King. Then thou spakest in a vision to the Holy One, and saidest, have I laid help upon one that is mighty, and I have exalted one chosen out of the people? I have found David my servant. With my holy oil have I anointed him, with whom my hand shall be established. My arm also shall strengthen him, and the enemy shall not exact upon him, nor the son of wickedness afflict him. That kind of reminds me of what's written, that what the gates of hell shall not prevail. That was what was told to Peter. All right. And I will beat down his foes before his face and plague them that hate him. But my faithfulness and my mercy shall be with him. And in my name shall his horn be exalted. And what is his horn? The Most High is his horn, which is going to be our horn too. And I will set his hand also in the sea, and his right hand in the rivers. And he shall cry unto me, thou art my father, my power, and the rock of my salvation. I also will make him my firstborn, higher than the kings of the earth, and my mercy will I keep for him forevermore, and my covenant shall stand fast with him. His seed also will I make to endure forever, and his throne as the days of heaven. And when you check it too, right, there was a point in time in history in the book of Samuel somewhere, and I believe it was a crowd of people that came to him of each tribe. As a matter of fact, to get it correct, I think it's in the book of Samuel 5. It's in the book of 1 Samuel 5, right? It's either 2 Samuel or 1 Samuel. Nope, it's 2 Samuel. It's 2 Samuel 5. And if it ain't, what I'll do is I'll type it in because I got it in my head. Here it is right here. See, this is it. 2 Samuel 5:1. Then came all of the tribes of Israel. So all of the tribes came to David, right? And this is what was said to him. Unto Hebron, and this is where he dwelt. He dwelt in Hebron. That was the main city of Jerusalem at the time. And spake, saying, behold, we are thy bones and thy flesh. And also in times past, when Saul was king over us, thou was he that led us out and brought us into Israel. And the Lord said to thee, thou shalt feed my people Israel, and thou shalt be a captain over Israel. So that's the thing. All of the 12 tribes came to David saying that what? We are of your bone and of your flesh, meaning that basically they were his, which is, you know, is who do we know to be King David also? Jacob, which birthed the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. All right, so David is really the father of all of the 12 tribes when you check it. So when it reads Psalms, his seed, right? Where it reads over here in verse what? Where we at? I tell you what, I'm gonna read this again, right? My mercy will I keep for him evermore, and my covenant shall stand. Here it is right here, verse 29. Let's just read that. His seed also will I make to endure forever, and his throne as the days of heaven. So his seed realistically is the 12 sons and descendants of the nation of Israel. That's his seed that's going to endure forever. Remember, we're going to be that what? World without end. All right. So if we're going to be that world without end, you're going to have David in that world. He's a very important strategic person to be in a part of all of this. Right. So if we're going to be that world without end, then guess what? As well as is also written that there won't be an end to the throne of David, with David sitting on that throne. Okay. And his seed also will I make to endure forever, and his throne as the days of heaven. If his children forsake my law, see, here it is, right? If his children forsake my law and walk not in my judgments, if they break my statutes and keep not my commandments, which that's not going to happen, because when the kingdom of heaven is set up, by then we would have had those things in our inward parts. The new covenant is going to be had in us. So we're never, ever going to go off. All right. That's why it reads that what? His seed shall what? Endure forever. Let me say it correctly. Shall endure forever as the heavens. You understand? So the only way that would have to be is if we would have to have the words of the Lord in us, as well as Jeremiah first said anyway. Now, let's go and continue to read on. Yes, I think I've read enough on that. That was the point on that. All right, so now, yeah, so now what I want to do now is read this. I want to get this right, though. I want to get this right. Yeah. Right. So as verse 26 reads again, I should have moved on to another precept after I got done reading this. So I'm going to read this again. And he shall cry unto me, thou art my father, my power, and the rock of my salvation. Right. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to read yeah, I read that already. Because I want to get this right, man. Damn. Oh, yeah. I could read this and tie this in with what I just read. Right. God damn. Right. Okay, yeah. So let's read this now. Let's just check something out real quick before I read that. Yeah, okay, so we on Isaiah 10 now, right? So just to tie this in what I just read concerning David, right? This is Isaiah chapter 10, verse 20. And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel and such are as escape of the house of Jacob shall no more again stay upon him. Let me read this again. And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel and such are as escape of the house of Jacob, and shall no more again stay upon him that smote them. Exactly. So we're not going to stay upon our enemies. In other words, we're not going to trust in our enemies, but rather instead, the right thing to do is what we're going to do, is trust in the Lord. Okay. And as this reads, but shall stay upon the Lord Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. And who is the Holy One of Israel? Yahweh Shai. So that's who we're going to stay upon. Now let's read some more on this. And as this reads, the remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob unto the mighty power. For though thy people Israel be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return. But that's all I got to read. So a remnant of them are going to return, as well as that's already happening right now. You already have the elect that have returned back to Yahweh Bashmi Al-Shai. That's why you have all of them brothers in GMS is doing it worldwide, all throughout the states, all throughout certain parts around the planet Earth. It's pushing this truth. All right. So we have returned. That's the prophecy. Prophecy's already played out in regards to that. So we've returned, and the Lord simultaneously has returned back to us same way. And it was really in the Lord's favor and in his will to quicken us so that we can return to him. All right. So it wasn't of our will anyway to return him. It was of that called us into this. Now let's continue to read this over here. All right. So yeah, Proverbs what? Proverbs where we at? 3 and 5, right? Every word of the Most High is pure, and he is a shield unto them that put their trust in him. And that's one way, that's the only way that we can put our trust and our power is through the word. And through the word, we have the truth. Or let me say it this way, we have the understanding of the truth. All right. So when the going gets tough, the time is going to do the telling who really has it all together, like I've mentioned, like I've previously mentioned already. So as this reads, add thou not unto his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. And that's something that the elect won't do anyway, as well as that's written, that no guile is found in their mouth. All right. So what I want to do is I want to tie this in, what is it, Proverbs 30 and 5 to the book of Revelations 3 and verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all of the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. And that time of temptation is right around, is actually about that. Again, now I'm going to talk about the king down here, so-called King Charles III. He already announced in the UK, and I believe, yeah, it was down here in the UK, and it was announced that, look, eventually the time is going to come where everyone's going to have to get a digital ID. I'm saying it. That's the way I'm saying it. I'm not saying it word for word, but it makes sense that he would say it in the UK, because within the UK, you have what is known as the financial district of the world, which is in London. All right. So the implantable device would have to pretty much begin right over here, because with your implant, with your chip, that's going to be even used for your CBDCs. Transaction is going to be based on your chip when you're buying and selling, as well as it's written, right? He calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand. All right. So that mark, you're going to be able to what? Buy and sell. So speaking of buying and selling, let me go and read that. Let's go and plug that in, shall we? Let's read Revelations 13. And oh man, yeah, it says, what is it? Yeah, man. Yeah, just bear with me, Aki, man. My head is going. Buying this. Oh, that's why you got to get your sleep. Whew. Anyway, yeah, so as this reads, right, and he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell, save that he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Exactly. So that's going to be the new way of doing business, transaction, business. Again, buying and selling, right? So now let's get into this topic. King Charles III outlined a national digital identity push. According to a report from FinTech magazine, King Charles III used the state opening of Parliament to unveil a series of bills that could profoundly reshape digital services, cybersecurity, obligations, innovation, pathway for financial technology, firms across the UK. In his speech delivered amid heightened global tensions, exactly with the war with Iran, and I can include too the hantavirus and what else? The situation that happened in Golders Green, and another situation which was relatable to that, which happened prior. I think what we talking maybe earlier this year, or it could have been probably sometime in the beginning of this year, right? So you have all of these crises, which now brings the king to mention, so-called, because he's given powers to say what he's saying. That look, we all gotta come under these digital IDs, right? In his speech delivered amid heightened global tensions, the king outlined proposals emphasizing national resilience in an increasingly dangerous, volatile world. Now, didn't he also didn't he also say, right, at the G20 meeting, if I'm correct, wasn't a G20 meeting, it was what was it? Oh man, it was to do with the subject matter of what is it? The climate or something like that. What was it called, man? He said something along the lines that we gotta matter of fact, you know what I'm gonna do? Let me do this. I know exactly what to do. Let me do this. And he was saying this when he was the prince, right? When he was the prince at the time. Yeah. Let me type this in. I'm gonna be as quick as I can. Right. Here it is. Exactly. This is what I was looking for. Yeah. So, oh man, time goes quick. Right. So anyway, it was to do with, but what was it called though? Like when he gave that speech, what was that called? What was this? What was the gathering called? It was called something. I got it right here, but what I want to do is I want to find out what it was called. Oh, let me do this. Yeah, what was it called? It was called yeah, exactly, the COP26 meeting. There you go. It was called the COP26 what is it, summit, and it was to do with climate problems, climate change. So this is what he said. Now we're going to go back. This is what he said. He said, what is it? He calls for a vast military style campaign to mobilize private sectors, resources to fight environmental collapse, targeting 2030. Charles has warned that waiting for 2050 targets is too slow, and that transformative progress must be made by 2030. So when you check out the 2030 program, now we fully thoroughly understand what that's all about. And what it's all about is all about what? Digitizing the world with you having a chip inside of you. All right. And again, this is something that we've been telling you for all this time. So what else did he say? He said what? He has described the climate summit as the last opportunity to address the crises, arguing the world has been pushed beyond its planetary boundaries. So again, the whole climate change thing, that's just using it as a guise and an excuse why they got to lock down the world the way they're going to do it. Because before he still does anything, he has to give an excuse. Before he attacks a group of people, he has to villainate them before he attacks them. You understand? So that's how this devil gets down. That's how this man gets down. So of course, now as we fast forward to 6 years, what are we seeing? We're seeing that he's sitting on this throne, but he don't even suit to sit on that throne, looking all washed up already. And he talking about, we gotta get England into the digital ID. I'm saying it. That's how I'm saying it. The digital ID setting of things. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he's the one that's pushing. And I remember some time ago, there was an image of him that was being pointed at. He was being pointed at by Evelyn Rothschild, showing you he ain't the official king. Because how does a king get pointed to like a child? And if you brothers don't know what I'm talking about, I'm pretty sure reason why y'all know what I'm talking about. But for those that don't know what I'm talking about, I'll show you what I'm talking about, right? So I'm gonna type in what? Evelyn Rothschild, right? Evelyn Rothschild. See, we know these guys, man. We ain't just some simple ass Negroes, man. We know them by name. All these guys, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, you name them. Because we're prudent men back here. Evelyn Rothschild, right? And King Charles. Okay, so now we got this. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. How does a true king get pointed to like a child like this? Come on, man. Look at that. Nah, that's how we know he ain't no king. If he was a real king, he wouldn't have never been able to come that close, number one, to even do that to him. So for him to get pointed like that by Evelyn Rothschild, that would then showcase that he's the real king behind the scenes, which is the truth. All right. So that's who he's getting his orders from. People that are hiding him. That's why we call him the so-called king. You know? Okay, so now, yeah, this happens all the time with these dogs, man. Happens all the time. Animals are spiritual, though, so they kind of know what's up to a degree here and there. Right. Yeah, and that's another topic for another moment in time. I don't need to get into that. I need to stay on one thing. And so now, what's that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you was talking to me. No, it's all right. No need to say sorry. Yeah, so now what I want to do is I want to go back to what I had before. And we're going to read some more of this right here. Right. So as this reads, in a speech delivered amid heightened global tensions, I've read that already. So yeah, as we're going to continue to read on, right? Central among them that are measures to bolster cybersecurity standards and introduce a voluntary national digital identity framework. And what I forgot to mention, that's really what he was saying at the COP26 meeting, that we need a Marshall-like stance to pretty much change the world. You know, so he's saying it again. Let it be known yet again. Central among them that are measures to bolster cybersecurity standards and introduce a voluntary national digital identity framework directly impacting fintech or fintech companies handling sensitive data and payment systems. Cybersecurity and resilience bill stands out with the severe penalties, fine reaching up to 17 million. I don't need to read anymore. The point is that they want everybody on a database. That's it. They want you on a database, and they also want every single thing about you. All information that you have. Again, your birth certificate. Your hospital data. Your ledger, your bank ledger. All of this information they want. And that's why they brought these phones out, so that we can use these phones to be at one with these phones and take pictures and everything and all that stuff, just so that we can get accustomed to using these phones. Because guess what? The phone is going to begin in due time. There's going to come a time where we're going to graduate from using these phones to actually having to use our hands instead to swipe. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, for example, right? We're using our phones for a particular barcode for something. And now they got us accustomed to what? Scanning our faces. Because what we've been doing for all of this, people just in general, they've been taking selfies of themselves. So all of this stuff doing has just been conditioning them to what? Accept even facial recognition. But that's not the final nail in the coffin. The final nail in the coffin is to chip you in the very end. All right. And overall, like I said, in that you are willing to accept what is it? A biometric based world, which the word bio means something that lives. Life, you could say, bio, which means life. Like, for example, you have the term biography, right? When you read about your favorite celebrity's biography, what are you reading about? Their life and how they came up and et cetera, et cetera. You know, so the word bio and also, what is it? Metric means to measure. So really, when you really break it down, the word biometric just means to what? Measure out one's life. They want to measure your life. That's the ultimate thing right there. That's what the 6G program is for, that they're going to prepare sometime around 2030 or maybe over. We'll have to wait and see. It could be before then because of this, because everything that they're doing right now to build up to this biometrical world, it's going to be within, that time period. Like we're already in. We're in the year 2026 and we're about to go into the next year. We got another 8 months to go, right? And they're getting the move on already. Like, for example, the King's already speaking about, look, the new thing now is digital IDs. And we're almost pretty much smack dab to half of the year. You know what I'm saying? So it's gotta be around 2030. We talking maybe about maybe another year or 2 years. We'll have to wait and see. But by then they want to have all of this ability to measure out your, which means just that, life. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, man. So now I want to read this as well. This is good news too, which ties into what I just read. Right. EU compliant citizens who reject Bill Gates' digital ID will be banned from the internet. The European Union is turning the internet into a permission-based system where ordinary citizens must surrender their digital identity to participate in modern society. Again, he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor. Doesn't matter what kind of what kind of class of man you are. Now, if you're part of the elite construct that is above government, you get to do whatever the hell you want to do, which makes a lot of sense. It's for the serfs of these different branches of men to undergo being chipped. All right, because what's the whole purpose of chipping people? Because these elites, they see us as what? Stocks. They see us as resource that they own. Just like you would do to your cattle. You would brand your cattle, as well as what they used to do in ancient Rome too. You had a thing such as branding your slaves. That was going on as well. So a brand or a branding would then signify that, or if you were branded, that was then signify that you was owned by someone. So really what these devils want to do is they want to brand you with the mark. They want to certify you that basically they got you lock, stock, and barrel. They own you. Like that's going to furtherly confirm that you're owned. You're no longer a human being. You're an asset that they can use to better themselves. That's the best way I could put it. And as a matter of fact, speaking about that, let me look up the word branding real quick, just to get more into it. I want to get more into it. Yes, so let me do that. Let's look up the word branding, right? Let me take it to Google. All right, so let me branding. Oh yeah, let me type this in instead. Yep. Yeah, so what I typed in, as I typed in what which really I should have typed in human branding, right? But I typed in brand slaves. So as it gives me, it says practice of using a hot iron or tattoo to leave a permanent mark on an enslaved person's skin. And this was done to signify ownership, prevent escape, or severe as a form of corporal punishment. And check this out too. Let's just say you got a chip on you and you move, and it's like I was watching the elder apostle Ramlob, and he made a point on this, right? Let's just say you live in a particular town and it's a 15-minute city, and you begin to want to go travel somewhere else way out of your 15-minute radius or your 15-minute city. Guess what? Your trip ain't going to be able to read anything. So let's just say you want to go buy something in the store that isn't even in your town, is outside of someone else's town or another group of people's town, because they ain't going to be owning anything. Remember what what's the name said too? Claude Schwab, he said, look, you will own nothing and be happy. That's what he said, because ain't nobody gonna own nothing. All you are is just gonna be a bunch of slaves. So anyway, going back to the point, just as well as the elder apostle Ramlob mentioned, he mentioned they could have it to where you have your chip. I'm just saying it in my way, not word for word. But you'll have a chip, right? And if you go outside of your 15-minute city, your chip ain't gonna be able to read anything, because you would have pretty much breached your, if I'm saying it correctly in this way, you would have breached radius. You would have pretty much breached your radius. So when you go outside of your radius, you ain't gonna be able to do anything. You're gonna be a no name, because you've pretty much traveled way outside of where you're supposed to be. All right. Just like the example of a slave ran away that was branded, another slave owner would bring back that slave back to his owner because of the branding on it. It's just like, for example, let's even use another example. Let's just say you've ordered something online, Amazon to be most exact, and it has your address on it. It's going to be delivered to your address, and if it gets lost, they can resend it again back to your address. Or someone of your neighbor, let's just say your neighbor gets your package. Your neighbor will be able to send your package to you because it's got your name on it. And your neighbor knows who you are. He knows your name. So he knows, okay, yeah, that belongs to such and such. The number of the door could be what? 75, right? The address and all that stuff. So it's sent to you because you've bought it and now you own it. And the address confirms that you've bought this and it's going to be sent to you. So it's the same thing with people. If people have a digital ID, which is going to be in a form of a chip, and they breach their 15-minute city, and they're out of and then basically because they're out of radius, their chip ain't going to be able to read anything. So now that person has to get right back to their 15-minute city for the chip to read again. Okay, so that's going to quell you going from place to place. All right. So like I said, the chip is going to confirm that you're owned. You're nothing more than stock to the elite. They see you as a product. They don't see you as a human being, a life force. They see you as someone that they could take advantage of. That's why they're setting this whole thing up. Now you have the word dystopia, which means bad time. The word they have, which means bad, and topos, which means place. There you go. So it just means a bad place. And I want to tie this into the book of Proverbs, 16 and verse 4. The Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. And check this out. The word evil just means quite similar. Bad times. The word ill means bad, and the word ev means time. bad times. So Esau is only just about just doing just that, bringing about bad times, turning places into bad places, creating this dystopias. That's his vision. That's his dream, because he can't help it. Because again, the Lord have created all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. So who better than to create dystopias than Esau? It's going to be him. All right. But in that, guess what? There's going to be an end point. There's going to be an end point in the day of doom. And I want to read this. This is 2 Ezra 7 and verse 43. But the day of doom shall be the end of this time and the beginning of immortality. Exactly. For to come wherein corruption is past. So yeah, bad times are going to come. Esau's going to create a bad situation. But out of that, guess what? We are going to be delivered into immortality. All right. So there you go. And let me read some more on this too. Intemperance is at an end. Infidelity is cut off. Righteousness now is grown and truth is sprung up. That's happening right now. And then shall no man be able to save him that is destroyed, nor to oppress them that have gotten the victory. And who's going to get the victory at the last? We are, as well as it's written, right? The first shall be last and the last shall be first. So right now in the society, it's already well known and declared and documented that we're at the lowest right now. So when Yahushua makes a second return, we're going to be at the very highest. And then, like I've mentioned before, it's going to be declared that we're going to be what? The chosen people of God, the people to exemplify all that which is good. All right. So Israel in the end is going to get the victory. And speaking of victory, let's read what our victory is going to be. Revelation 15 and verse 2. And I saw, as it were, a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of the Most High. There you go. Right? So we're going to get the victory over the beast and his name, meaning we're not going to take the mark. Now, some of us are going to have to die for what we believe in, as well as that's written in the book of Revelations, the 20th chapter, that what? How John the Revelator saw the souls of them that were beheaded. Right? But what did Yahushua, well, he didn't say that, but what does it read in the New Testament? It says that what? The dead in Yahushua shall rise first. So even if we die physically, we're going to be what? Translated from one form to the next form. So we would have been saved anyway. We would have went from physical death and the death of, and also sin, which is death, translated to what? Immortality. Right? So that's what awaits for the righteous, no matter what happens to them. So that's what victory we're going to receive. So if we have the victory, can't nobody put us out of that. And they that were destroyed, can't nobody undestroy. And Esau is going to be destroyed in this case. So there's going to be a, and the word victory goes back to the word nekeo. Let's play this in the Greek to see if I'm right.
G3528. Nikao.
Right.
Nikao.
Nikao. And that's what you get the word Nike from, which means just that, victory.
Strong's
I don't have to play it again. So we got the gist on that. Yeah, so it means to conquer, to carry off the victory, come off victorious, of the anointed, victorious over all his foes, of Christians that hold fast their faith even unto death against the power of their foes, and temptations and persecutions, and dealing with the word Christian. I'm not going to read over that. We're going to have to deal with that word Christian real quick, right? The word Christian just means anointed ones. All right. It just means anointed ones. And the only people that practiced the idea of anointing, not the idea, but practice anointing, came from the Israelites. That was an Israelite thing. That was an Israelite custom. All right. And the only people anointed to be the kings and the priests were the Israelites, no other nation. As well as is written, right, that the Lord, what? He showed his word unto Jacob, and he have also yet chose Israel, and he have not dealt so with any other nation. Right? So when you look and read the book of what is it? Isaiah 60, if I'm correct, I think it's Isaiah 61, where and this is a scripture that Yahweh Shai read. He said, this is what he read. As a matter of fact, let me go and read it because I can't remember that right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read that. Let's get that in Isaiah. Right. The Spirit of the Lord power is upon me because he have anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. And he have sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives and the opening of the prisons to them that are bound. So if the Lord is dealing with a man, it's going to be a man out of the nation of Israel, and he's going to anoint him with what? The word. Yahweh Shai was a prime example of this, and the prophets which came as well. So you didn't have actual prophets coming out of the other nations that Israel had to hearken onto. There were Israelites. Now you can say, can the Lord turn another nation into a prophet? Yes, he can, to convey a point. Now, when you read the story of Balaam, that right there solidifies that the Most High can turn a nation into a prophet. You know what I'm saying? So that's just that. But the official prophets whom the Lord is going to be dealing with is going to be out of the descendants of the nation of Israel. You know what I'm saying? So I want to get back to the point that we've gotten the victory. Why? Because of this right here. Because really, we are the sons of God. We are the Israel of the Most High. As it is written, right, that not all Israel is of Israel. So the Israel of God are going to overcome the world, as well as this is written. 1 John 5 and verse 4. For whatsoever is born of the Most High overcometh the world. And this is the victory that he overcometh, right? That overcometh the world, even our faith. And what do we faith in? We faith in this truth. We faith in Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. That's who we have faith in. And this is something that is pleased of the Father. Hebrews, the 11th chapter, tells us wonderfully well, right? That it's impossible to please the Father without faith. And by faith, miracles are wrought, which will be in these last days as well. Now, let's continue on. What is it? First Maccabees. Yeah, that's going into something else, man. Let's get out of that. Yeah, so I think I said what I had to say, man, on this. Yeah, this is all that I got. Let me see how long we've been going for. Excuse me. All right, so now let me let me see what I can do. I want to see how long I've been doing this for. Oh man, that's over 2 hours. I expected to do this for 2 hours. All right, so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna end this off, and Lord willing that this lesson was edifying, and it was to the point, and it edified you, it quickened you more in the spirit, and it confirmed you, as well as we ought to do, confirming the souls of the disciples as well as we all are. Like that title didn't just apply to the 12 at the time; it applies to us now. Why? Because we're instructed to follow the teachings of Yahweh Shai, making us disciples. Since you get the word discipline, all right. So we are disciples too. And I just wanted to say that right there and there to you brothers and well, not the sisters, but more so the brothers, primarily those that go out and teach. Yeah. So willing to you brothers, man. This was edifying, giving all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Bahashem Rakah Kudash. And double honors to the elder apostles of the great No Stone. And to include the elder bishops on down and Yahweh Bashmi Shai, Baraka Thumb. So all of my brothers worldwide. And salutations to all of y'all, man. You know, keep pushing. We almost out of here. We already got the victory. We've already won. It's just that the physical realm is going to pretty much bring that into fruition. All right. So we just got to just keep on keeping on, you know, as the saying goes back home. With that, I say, Shalom.